I thought it was too.
That works. Yes, it's Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Currently, I have video.
When it comes time to vote, numbers don't match up. The ballot or.
Oh, man.
That would be different. It's on one.
I didn't get it. Just like.
Yeah.
I've given it some thought.
There's nothing you can change on. Really have to do the actions.
Just need to get a copy tomorrow. Terry, I got a message from you the other day. I got a message from you the other day. I couldn't make it up. Do you still need something?
Really important.
Some of those markets just down the street up there, bits and pieces.
Yes, yeah.
Do you still need help with that?
Remind strawberry.
Okay.
You said yes.
So rumors get started, Bill.
Not for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but that was a great idea. I love that. Is there some reason why I can't? I can't be on the video. I mean, it's doing this. And it just doesn't happen.
Oh, you don't have a camera.
Are we not connected?
No, you're fine.
Bottom left hand front. Bottom left hand front. I'm doing it, but it won't, this is the first time ever that it won't unclick.
I'm doing a video.
So you're just gonna have to enjoy me in my hat. That is generous of you, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it was. All I know is. So let's see. Call the meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. Please rise if you are able and join us for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a heads up for anybody who wasn't clear, there is a public hearing as part of our select board meeting tonight, which I'm assuming many of you are here for, but just so you know, it is still a select board meeting, so if you're confused why we don't go right to that, that's why. All right, number 2, approval of treasurer's warrants, payroll warrants for May 5th and May 12th, 2023, open for motion.
I move to approve the payroll warrants of May 5th, May 12th, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Accounts payable warrants for May 9th and May 16th, 2023, open for motion.
I move to approve the accounts payable warrants of May 9 and May 16, 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Number 3, approval of the minutes for May 2nd, 2023.
Move to approve the minutes for May 2nd, 2023.
Second.
Any questions, discussion, edits, corrections? No, okay,
Passed.
calling for a vote, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. We do not have any special presentations or reports. Committee appointments, and we can take these as listed in terms of if they're on the same board, we can do them at the same time.
Right.
Wiscasset Board of Appeals Committee, Susan Blagden and Alyssa Easton.
I move to approve the appointment of Susan Blagden and Lisa Eason to the Wiscasset Board of Appeals Committee.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Wiscasset Planning Board, Alan Cohen and Thomas Joyce.
I move to approve Alan Cohen and Thomas Joyce to the Wiscasset Planning Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Wiscasset Budget Committee, Lisa is a Teachy. Hope I'm saying that right.
I move to approve Lisa Teachy to the Wiscasset Budget Committee. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Wiscasset Climate Action Team, Cassandra Rose, Susan Van Alsenoy, Colleen Hendricks, Lisa Teachy, Dusty Jones, Janet Hobbs Bailey, Leslie Roberts, Marty Fox, and Evan Gudkowski.
I move to approve Cassandra Rose, Susan Van Alstenoy, Colleen Hendricks, Lisa Tucci, Rusty Jones, Janet Hodge Bailey, Leslie Roberts, Marty Fox, and Evan Gudkowski to the Wisconsin Climate Action Team.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Well, one is 9 and we got 9.
Yep.
Actually, I think this gets most, all of our boards, filled finally.
Wow.
All right, public hearings. The first one is a new liquor license for the River Shack, 1 Water Street. Good
Nice
timing,
timing.
Shane. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I move to open public hearing for the liquor, consideration of the liquor license. For
Second.
River Shack at 1 Water Street.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. We are open for a public hearing on the liquor license for the River Shack at 6:04 PM. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Anyone online? Going once. Going twice.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, close the hearing. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Hearing for the liquor license is closed at 6:05 PM. Open for motions on the liquor license.
I move to approve liquor license for River Shack, 1 Water Street.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
There you go.
And you all. When's my first drink?
Now I gotta deal with somebody else, I gotta deal with the state, so. I got more hurdles to jump over. Thank you, everybody.
That's
All right, our second public hearing on the annual town meeting warrant. Open for motion to open the hearing.
I move to open the hearing on the town meeting warrant.
Second.
And moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. The hearing is open at 6:06 PM. Couple things to note, because I'm assuming we're gonna have a lot of folks who want to speak. One, just so you know, the warrant is set in stone at this point, so there aren't changes that can be made. So this is a time for you if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question about a warrant article. That's totally appropriate, but please know that we can't change anything on the warrant at this point. Two, we would really appreciate if you just keep your comments concise. Please try not to repeat others. If you agree with them, feel free to say that, but then let's move on so we can make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak. And other than that, please do speak up when you come up. Please, the owl, this is the speaker in the middle is the owl. That's where the people online can hear you, so please speak towards that. And speak loudly so that those in the room can still hear you, and please state your name for the record, so that we have it. So I think those are all the things I was supposed to mention. So at this point, if there's anyone who would like to speak, please let us know which article you're talking about, and state your name and speak loudly.
They're just here for the show.
This for the broadband,
Yes, this will be the time to speak to broadband.
okay. My name is Susan Murray, and I wholeheartedly support the broadband initiative. We moved up here from Pennsylvania 2 years ago, and we had broadband. Who was actually one of the first residents to have broadband. It is by far superior.
Okay.
So,
Good.
and we got internet speeds of up to 800 megabytes per second. I'm only getting 200 now, even with Spectrum's higher price package.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's just.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah, turn that.
I'm a fairly new resident and Wiscasset.
Sorry, what's your name, sir?
Oh, sorry, Nicholas Rio.
Thank you.
38 Indian Road, if you want to know. So anyway, I'm a resident here. I've been coming up here. My wife has been a longtime resident of Maine. But I've been coming up here to the summer home that they have on Southport Island, spending the entire 6 months here since 2000, when I got married to her. So, but anyway, my question on the, is on the broadband, obviously. And my concern is, have you followed Southport, what they have done the past 2 to 3 years, investigating the broadband for the entire town of Southport? It's very similar, because it's very rural there. And they don't have enough broadband, but there. So my question is to the board, has anybody, the committee that you formed, or I don't know about politics or anything about the selectmen or what you guys do, but have you followed, has anybody followed that? Because that's history that you could tap into, town of Southport, before you get involved doing broadband. That's number one question. Number two question is, what's the cost to us as taxpayers overall? Do you know that? Where you at in the process?
So to the second question, to clarify, do you mean the cost in terms of for the town, or the cost to you once it's available for you as a
Each
subscriber?
individual resident, I own my own house up on.
No, but the cost to subscribe to it, or do you mean the cost to the town?
Well, I don't know, but then before they were gonna, I think that one particular, I stopped watching it, that's why I asked the question, maybe follow Southport. My concern is that, are the taxes gonna go up, or is it gonna be a subscription, like I'm paying a subscription to Spectrum, which totally sucks in my opinion, because I've had much better service.
It's a subscription service once it's built.
Yeah, well, I understand, and I support that lady who
This is the
mentioned
time
that.
for Carla to get up.
Yeah, so Carla, do you wanna address?
You're jumping the gun because we're on the warrant here, as you know. I'm chair of the broadband committee.
Okay,
And the difference with Southport and why they had a problem was they were proposing a municipally owned system. And there was pushback to the municipal ownership, which would cost, they had already raised the money for it, as I understood. Given the temperature here and the decision of the select board and the budget committee, we decided that we would go with a private provider. And we haven't locked that in, but we do have a representative here from Fidian Fiber. And we were gonna allow them to speak, and somebody from the state, Kendra Jo Grindle, Simon Bourne from Fiber, from Fidian.
So that's what got fast.
And we are putting up the minimum amount of money to be competitive, or what we need to be competitive for state grants. The total, we did a feasibility study, and that was over $5 million if everybody in the whole town had fiber optic networks, which is the best technology. And that's probably what you had in Pennsylvania
so the 5 million is the total cost of it, or?
for the town, but the town doesn't pay that. The town, what is on the warrant, number 51, is $183,200, which is the match that the town has to put up to leverage much more money from the state. The county will match that 100,000, we're hoping, and we believe we will get that. And actually, the amount the state puts in, if you use that $5 million figure, is less than 4%. So we all consider that a very good investment for the town, and it's the future of this town, because fiber is the premium technology. And
I totally agree with that, because zooming is in,
right,
you know, that's-
so
unfortunately.
we were going to do all this, coordinate. I don't know how you want to do it with questions from the audience, or you want people to come up now and talk about broadband.
I mean, if people have questions or wanna speak in favor of it, that this is the time.
Okay, because,
So have you determined what the cost would be to the individual for the subscription?
well, this is, I mean, we have an example here.
They sort of have a presentation, so
The presentation, I'll wait.
if they can do that, then you might get your questions
Do you want to
answered.
do it now or do you want to wait?
Yes.
Well, now would be the time. so go
Okay,
ahead.
I just want to say how important this is for this asset. Well, many surrounding towns in Lincoln County are putting in fiber networks. And if you've had the experience that we have in the room, and some of you already have it, you know, cable doesn't do it anymore. We've had even more problems with reliability since the pandemic. And I think more people understand that. But this is the technology for the future. This is the technology that's going to be needed to attract, retain businesses, families, home buyers, remote workers, provide telehealth. You don't have that capacity with anything but fiber right now. And it is an investment in the town's future. So I won't go on, but we did do an extensive study. The committee's been meeting since late 21. And we looked at different models. We looked at the municipal model. We liked the municipal model, but parts weren't there to fund it. So this is a very good investment from our point of view for the town. And what I'd like to do, you've asked about costs. I'd like to have Simon Thorne from Fidium Fiber, which is part of Consolidated Communications, talk about that. And then have Kendra Jo Grindle, who is a representative from the new Maine Connectivity Authority, which was set up to get this unprecedented amount of money out in a short period of time in Maine. And I have to say that this opportunity does not come along very often. It is unprecedented and we need to take advantage of it. We will not see this again anytime soon. And so I was very pleased that the select board and the town responded with very favorable votes for the select board and the budget committee. So Simon, do you want to kick it off and then I'll have Henry jump in.
Sure. So
Yeah, just a second.
just for a second. Sir, to answer your question on the property taxes, this has no effect on taxes. The 183,200 that's on the warrant as the grant match for this actually comes out of the town's capital reserve funds. So there's no effect on the taxes either way.
Okay. Again, one thing that, on the initial part of it, I'm totally for it, because I came, before I moved here, I lived in a town called Shrewsbury, Mass. They had their own electric company, but it was 30,000 people, so it's a lot different than 3,000 people. I'm just guessing for
Close.
3,800.
3,900? Okay, I thought it was close. And they had their own cable television set up, and we got more than any other town. They Comcast was big competition. And the other thing that I would ask, as far as the presentation, as far as what's the back end support once you're on board, because the back end support is so good in the town of Shrewsbury, it was unbelievable. The quality of the service and the less, I mean, it just didn't go down very often. It was back up before the electricity was back up. It was that good. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
So Simon.
Okay. Facing this way?
Well, if you
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of face kind of sideways a little bit, there you go.
Yeah.
That would be great right there.
Okay, so,
May I suggest that you take that microphone, shove it to the corner.
It's not gonna
where
shove that
your
far
Not
because
gonna go.
it doesn't.
Oh, it's not
okay, I'll tell you what, I'll go this way.
soda.
How's that
Okay,
sound?
there you go.
Hi, everybody, Simon Thorne with Consolidated Communications. I don't really have a presentation as such to give. Just really, I would talk a little bit about the product and the pricing and speed. So as the town manager stated, it's not that the town would fund the entirety of the bill. And I don't have that breakdown with me. I will get that of what we estimate the cost to be, what we would be applying the funding, right? So there's a little bit of a formula, and I'll let Kendra Jo kind of speak to that. That I understand today from the past grant round. And the match that we're talking about tonight would add points to the overall grant application. Okay, and then consolidate it ourselves. So let me back up. So Consolidated is Fidium, Fidium is Consolidated, it's much like Ford has an F-150 and a Pinto and a Mustang, and right, they're all Fords, but they have, so this is the same for us. It is consolidated, but we're branding our fiber optic product, Fidium, just to differentiate between our wonderful DSL service and the next level of technology that's coming out, okay, because it truly is a future proof, it will change a lot of things for the community. So as part of that grant application, Consolidated would be required to bring, we would bring about $1.3 million to that build. The town's contribution would come into play and the county's contribution, and then we would ask the MCA to fund the remainder of that building. That's how the process would work. We have 4 speed tiers today. That's going to change. I think we're going to bring 2 new to market. So everything that we have is symmetrical, meaning the same down, the same up. Our lowest speed is 50, 250, 1 gig, 2 gig. So we do participate in the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is $30 stipend for folks who meet certain guidelines. So if we're at the 50, right, there's no installation fee and there's no contract. For the first 12 months, it's $35 a month for that speed. After the first 12 months, it will go to $55 a month. Our 2 gig speed is $85 a month for the first year, and will go to $95 a month after the first 12 months. So it was much more expensive than that. We've reduced the price of that because we're going to bring, I hear rumblings of a 6 and an 8 gig speed, which anybody who knows, that's ludicrous fast, right? It's just really fast. We also have a small business offering, so it's basically for folks, businesses that have 30 employees or less. Those speeds, which I haven't memorized yet, are, again, they're all symmetrical, so it's 300, 600, 1 gig, 2 gig. There's a little bit different things that you can get with that for a small business, such as, if you were a restaurant or a shop owner and people were coming into your store and you didn't necessarily want them on your network, you can create a separate network for those customers as they come in, so they're not truly on your network. And you can do that as the store owner. You don't need an IT professional to set that up. It's something that's within the app that comes with that level of business and speed. You can set up a network for your employees, right? So your network would be the overshadowing network, but you can set parameters and so forth for each of those networks that you built. I'm being told that there's a function with that network where it can monitor movement within the store. Not quite sure how it does that. I think your device would sync up to that network and it will say where it is within the building. Now, if you're a shop owner with things for sale, you might be curious where most of the traffic goes, right? Pots and pans over here, pots and pans over here. Nobody buys these, but everybody buys these, but you can see that traffic is going to those. Maybe they're too much, maybe they're, right? So there's some just different functionality. So the question that I get a lot that I'll just address right away is, what happens if I have a long driveway? Right, that's always a question. So we do not charge for an installation. Okay, so what I mean by that is if there's a path from the pole line to the home, there's no charge. Where we get into a little bit of a different scenario is if there's no path. Okay, so if there's a pole line from the house to the pole, pole line, right? So if you live a mile off the road and there's a pole line going down to your home, and we can attach to that, there's no charge. If you have 1,000 feet of conduit from the pole to your home, again, there's no charge. Where that becomes an issue is if you tell us you have 1,000 feet of conduit from the pole to the home, because you can see conduit at the home, you can see conduit at the pole, but we actually determined it to be direct buried, which it happens, or you know that it's direct buried, there's a couple of choices. Okay, if we can hit the home aerially, and you're okay with that as a homeowner, meaning it's close enough that we can do it, then we'll do that, there's no charge. You can, if you really want the underground and you want to stick with the underground, if you provide us that path, there's no charge. We do have a service that we've had for a little while now, it's really taken off, so we've made some adjustments to it. We will provide 500 feet of micro trenching with the fiber for free as part of your install. After that 500 feet, it would be the customer's responsibility to bring conduit to the remainder of that. And we had to do that because we were initially doing 250 feet for free and then $2 a foot after that. But we're getting so backed up from people wanting to do that, that we need to be consistent, right? There are people that are waiting for this service and, right, so 500 feet for free, and then the customer would be responsible after that. That's typically the biggest question I get, so I'll stop there and I'm happy to answer questions you might have.
How much is it to add?
Sir, sorry, I'm gonna have to ask you to come up because the folks online are not gonna be able to hear you. Sorry.
How much is it additional conduit?
So we will only do 500 feet. I don't know what the additional conduit cost would be. It would depend on your situation, the length, obstacles. That's
How do we determine that?
Microphone.
Oh,
Just cut, step forward. You have this little tiny voice.
Yes.
And I'm deaf. Let's have it.
Oh, okay.
I think that you could speak to a local contractor, an electrician could tell you, somebody who does earthwork could probably tell you.
Okay,
Yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able, every scenario is a little bit different, and I would say that the 500 feet, it's not always A to B. Right, if you've got stumps or swamp or ledge, we have to go around it. Then, so it might be 500 feet versus 500 straight line. But,
Come forward.
oh yeah, you get, yes.
Sorry, this is also live on YouTube, so we don't know how many people are watching on YouTube as well, so.
You mentioned in residential that there were different options. One was something and it was 250 megabytes.
Yep,
And then
50,
it went up to
250, 1 gig and 2 gig.
Is there a possibility for you to offer because the only reason I'm asking is because Spectrum offers 500 megabytes. And that's more than adequate for all the devices we have in our home. We have quite a few. And I run my own business out of the home. So is there a possibility we get a 500 megabytes?
So there are different speed tiers coming to market. I don't know what they are yet that may address that. Most people I don't know what the pricing for Spectrum is, but a 250 will surpass Spectrum's 500.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
So what was the cost again for the 250?
It is. Bear with me just a second. It is $60 a month for the first year, and then it will go to 85. But again, I think we're going to see a new speed tier and pricing come out that will adjust that maybe lower, right?
Okay.
Put some downward pressure on these prices.
So that sounds good. It's better than the ballpark. It's great. I know it's gonna be better than what we got.
Yes, sir.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
It will be.
Good.
My question is this going to be done in the entire town or predominantly just the village? And what's your timeline we're talking about?
Good question. My understanding is that it will be done throughout the whole town. That's really part of what we would like to do, is through the whole community. Timeline is really to be determined. We're not sure, right? So again, Ken or Joe can really speak to this. So I'll leave it at that.
Can you say some more about the whole town? You said we would like to do that. And my understanding is that's kind of the deal.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying, that would be the way we would anticipate putting the grant application in.
How would I do it? I'm sure folks can ask Simon questions all night. You're back.
I'll sit down.
How about folks, I'm Peter Joe Grindle. I'm the community capacity manager for the Maine Connectivity Authority, which is the new state broadband authority for Maine. I feel like you've heard the what and the how, but this is more the why. So there is a lot of funding coming in to the state for broadband expansion through federal funding. Currently, we're working with Capital Projects Fund, and in the future we'll be working with some other funding that's a bit more targeted. We have a Connect the Ready program. This is our second round of this program. It launches in August, which is what your committee and your community has been gearing up towards. Our program guidance comes out next month. And under this program, we have to see community private-public partnership. We have to see providers and communities working together under any model, whether it's a municipally owned model or private expansion model, and upgrade, they have to be working together. So in this case, where you're looking at consolidated Fidium fiber, upgrading and expanding their network, there needs to be community partnership, and the community has to be supportive of that approach to community-driven broadband. It's how we design all of our programming. It's how broadband at the state level in Maine works. I'd like to think that it's one of a really great approach to getting this done and getting it done in a way that's universal throughout communities. We know that if you don't have good service, if you don't have, if you're still struggling with DSL or have nothing, you would continue to do so if you didn't have subsidies coming in from the state and the federal government to encourage private investment in some of these areas. They're the hardest to reach, they're the most expensive, which means they're less profitable, and that's just how it is today, right? If you haven't gotten it in the last 20 years, then it's really difficult to make that equation work and get service out there. So that's why we see this partnership. And we recognize that where communities are involved, it does drive a lot of the service takings or take rate and engagement on that service. We don't want to just put money out the door to see fiber hung on your roads and nobody uses the service. So I do want to recognize that Wiscasset is one of 22 communities in our Get Ready program. Which is a program I lead around broadband planning and building this pipeline towards expansion and universal service. Your committee has been very active for a number of years, looking at all of these pathways and approaches, looking at regional versus single municipality, looking at each ownership model. Haven't heard Southport mentioned in a while, so we're happy to talk about that at some other time. But I did just want to highlight that there's a lot of work that's been done here to get to this point and this partnership, and why the community and the committee feels like it's right for you. The grant opening in August, it's a very competitive grant round. We've had 2 different infrastructure programs so far just within the last 12 months. And they have been quite oversaturated, both in public ownership models coming through the door and private investments coming through the door. So that's why we like to do this. It depends on being awarded the grant. I will say that if your community is not awarded, consolidated, and your community are not awarded, we don't, as a state entity, we're not taking this money regardless. It's only contingent on award through the Connect the Ready program. And then there are other opportunities coming down the pike if that's the case. And we have funding coming in the future that's really targeting towards those individuals that are really struggling and have been left behind. And as a state, we really recognize that even cable offerings today, the unreliability of those cable offerings, we still consider an underserved service. We don't consider you served unless you have those symmetrical speeds that we currently see with fiber, that we hope to see in the future with other technologies. So it's just not happening today. So that's a bit of the why, hopefully why you're here and talking about this, and why there's a need for this community participation. We know there's more funding than we've ever seen. We also know that it's not enough to address the entire problem in Maine. And that's why we're looking for private investment,
local investment. And that looks like funding and just community gathering and support and knowledge of how to take their service. So that when you do have service, you can utilize it and use all of our other programs around digital equity and support and skills. So if you have a question for me, I'm here, but hopefully that bridged a little bit. So that timeline again is program guidance in June, program opening in August. That's when we have about 4 to 6 week window for applications. I'm not entirely clear on how long that window will be open. And then just based on the last round, we wouldn't look to be awarding until end of calendar year, just based on conversations and negotiation contracts. So hopefully that helps.
Any other questions or comments on either broadband or any of the other warrant articles? Yes, sir.
So under an ideal situation that this gets passed going forward, when is the projected roughly? I know it's a ballpark, just looking to see when everything will be installed and we can all be online with the Wi-Fi.
Certainly not before mid 2024, end of 24.
Okay,
So depending on, so what she was just saying about the process. So we wouldn't even know if we get the grant.
They're all gonna be installed,
Yeah.
that's why I asked the question.
My thought would be 2025.
2029?
Probably, and I say that because our build plan for 24 would have been set by the time any awards were made. So I think it would be realistically into 2025. The other thing I think is important to just mention that Kendra Jo touched on is, you know, the money that that we're talking about, right? If we're unsuccessful in the grant application, it's not awarded, that money doesn't stay with us, that's the town's money. We would only take that upon approval of the award. So I thought that might be important just to say.
Yeah. Next question. I'm assuming, because I don't want to assume, because I know what that means, but I'm assuming that, I have no cell service at my house. The only way I have cell service is through the Spectrum, Wi-Fi. So is that option going to be available to us with the new broadband?
How far are you from a telephone call?
So I think that will be a lot dependent on your phone, right? So my cell phone has the option to use Wi-Fi.
I have an iPhone, so that.
Yeah, so that option will be there.
Oh, yeah, that's good, that's good. I have a third question, but I can't think of it, but I'm full support of this. And this lovely lady who's heading up the committee has been very knowledgeable. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for your comments.
All right, hey, listen, thanks, everybody. I'm going to go get dinner and a cocktail. We'll see you.
Hold on, we got one thing left for you before you leave us.
Exactly.
Two things, I'm Evan Gutowski, also on the broadband committee. I'll address one thing for you and then one thing for everybody.
Okay.
The up to 500 megabyte service that you mentioned from Spectrum is $69.99 and Fidium is 1 gig over 1 gig, so double $470. For the extra penny, you can double it.
That's good.
There you go.
There you go.
And the only other thing I would mention is that the warrant is for 183,000 and the county is then going to match that with 100,000. And Lincoln County is one of the only counties that's doing something that generous, so that's how high of a priority it is, particularly in Lincoln County. Not to poo-poo on Sagahawk, but they bought an antenna. So we can do all that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate that.
Other comments or questions on the warrant?
Evening, Chairman, Selectmen, and our town manager. My name is Richard Reese. I'm president of the Maine Art Gallery, and I just want to say a couple words in favor of article. Let me make sure I'm getting the right number there.
Well, let me get you the one off the ballot, because that's the one they're gonna see. Because it's different than this one on warrant.
Are there copies of that sample around this?
It's
So
secret.
this is gonna be question 52 on the ballot.
Okay. And as to that, question 52 would provide for matching funds for renovations and improvements to the old Academy building, which has been the residence of the Maine Art Gallery since 1958. We are celebrating our 65th anniversary this season, and we were proud to kick it off with the return from COVID of our student show. So the Wisconsin Student Show was this April. It was very enthusiastically greeted by the teachers and by the parents, and of course by the students themselves. And currently, we are doing our special anniversary show called Generations, which reaches back, presents some of the artists who showed in 1958, as well as inviting other artists from across the state who are very well known and show in major galleries in New York and elsewhere, as well as in the state of Portland. And then we did a jury show of our members. And I'd like to just underscore the value we think we bring to the community, and has done so for those 65 years. It's not only the artists and the patrons who come from throughout the area, beyond Lincoln County and throughout the Mid-Coast, who come and identify Wiscasset and the Maine Art Gallery as a cultural destination. And we think it brings both economic as well as cultural value to the city. People come, they came to our opening, and then they flock to the local restaurants to celebrate. So we certainly hope that you will act favorably on that article, and also vote not to sell the building out from under us, and to continue to support the 20-year lease that we won with a 2-to-1 supermajority just this fall of 2021. So with that, I'll relinquish the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others who'd like to speak?
No, but I'm gonna grab a warrant for my new little maid.
Going once. Going twice. Okay. If there are no more comments on the town warrant, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Hearing's closed at 6:41 p.m. Yeah.
I would actually just like to recognize the broadband committee. I don't know, it was what, 2 years you guys have been working on this? And they put a lot of time and effort to get us to this point. And I think this is an example of what committees can do to this town, do for this town. And I'd like to see more of that. So thank you guys for all.
Beautifully done. With that part, you can go have dinner too.
Folks, just so you're aware, we do have the rest of the meeting, so I just ask you to please keep it down if you're leaving. We'll just keep it All right. Sorry, everyone, we gotta continue with our meetings, though. You're welcome to stay, obviously, but. Number 8, department head, committee chair, department monthly reports, any questions, comments?
You have one from Parks and Rec?
No, actually, and normally I would jump going on that, but, I'm gonna give him a pass because he's been really, really busy, this past week. As a cost saving measure, we did not replace Bob McDonald, so he's doing all the ball fields and a lot of work to get stuff done, so, he just was really busy, but I'll make sure that I get one from him in the next few days.
Any other questions or comments on department head reports? Right? 9, unfinished business, deputy harbor master.
I move to appoint Kelly Fairservice as deputy harbor master.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Glad we got that worked out. Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Where were you?
We need to see Linda get sworn in.
Okay.
All right, new business, EMS, bad debt totaling $51,459.25.
I move to write off the uncollectible debt totaling $51,459.25 and send the accounts to the collection agency.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Business license for TWIYO Inc., 291 Federal Street, doing business as The World Is Your Oyster.
I move to approve the business license for Twayo Inc., 291 Federal Street, DBA The World Is Your Oyster.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Monthly financials, HM Payson statement of accounts and year-to-date expense and revenue reports. Any questions or comments on those? We're going up. Right direction.
Yes, slow but sure.
Okay. Moving on to 10D, peer vendor permit application approval for Options ATM.
Move to approve peer vendor permit for Options ATM as recommended by the waterfront committee.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion?
What are they paying a fee? What's their fee?
I don't see the square footage on this, so I'll have to call and find out. It won't be much, because it's not that big, but it'll be something they haven't paid in the past, so.
More than nothing.
So is there ATM transaction fee? So
Right.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Review of planning and engineering services RFQ.
So as I explained, we had to go out for a new consultant this year for the airport. Rick we sent this to 6 people that we were aware of and posted it in various places. The only response we got back was Stantec, who was our current consultant. And I certainly would see no reason to change anyways. I think they've done a very good job for us. They know our airport pretty well, and can help move some of these projects forward without having to reintroduce somebody new anyways. Rick and Steve went over the proposal just in case. They scored 100. I sent it to Dusty because he's the select board liaison, and I looked at it myself, and I see no reason not to just go ahead and provide this to Stantec, and I think I provided somebody a motion to.
yes, I'll make that motion now. Move to authorize the town manager to enter into airport general consulting agreement with Stantec Consulting Services for planning and engineering services for the Wiscasset Municipal Airport.
Second.
We can do that one too, Jack.
We've given that one to.
I don't even put the second.
Oh, you don't, okay.
Nobody cares.
Been fighting for nothing.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Assessor's business. Property tax abatement for Edward and Ruth Maywa, is that how you say it? The last name? Sorry?
You want?
Oh, okay,
Like never, never.
okay, thank you. Account number 1885, map U23, lot 1, in the amount of $720.87.
Move to approve property tax abatement for Edward and Ruth Maywan. Account number 1885, map U23, lot 1, in the amount of $720.87, as recommended by the assessing agent Ellery Baines.
Second.
And moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0, 4-0, thank you.
Mr. James.
Assessor supplements, Michael LaChance, map R01, lot 37-A, for $1,374.38, first of 5 annual.
Move to approve the supplemental for Michael LaChance for map R01, lot 37A, in the amount of $1,374.38, first of 5 annual, as recommended by assessing agent Ellery Baines.
Second.
And moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Central Maine Power Company, Avangrid Management Company, local tax personal property account number 405, staging yard at 518 Gardner Road, in the amount of $38,770.46.
I move to approve the supplemental for Central Maine Power Company in care of Avangrid Management Company, local tax personal property account 405, staging yard at 518 Gardner Road, in the amount of $38,770.46, as recommended by the assessing agent Ellery Baines.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0. Town managers report, anything you want to add? Any questions for Dennis?
Can you follow up on the question on hunting at the landfill?
Yes, actually, there is. The town, obviously, some of you know this, I didn't really know this. The town cannot regulate hunting, period. The only thing that we're allowed to regulate is discharge of a firearm within certain distances of a home or school or something along those lines. As far as posting the land, it's an all or nothing proposition. You post it, you keep everybody out. If you don't post it, you let everybody in. So that's the follow-up on that.
Okay. So do we have a-
So we're gonna post it. in the-
So I think we left it, we left it posted, right, and just said, just ask for permission, everybody can go in, but this just kind of gives us an idea of who's there and when, that's all.
So people can hunt on it, they just have to come here.
You
and
just
have
have to, you just have to let Ted know, that's all. Yep.
Good to know.
Any other questions for Dennis? Marty?
Dennis probably knows my question. Any word from Marty Fox, any word from CMP regarding an invoice for the LED streetlights?
Yep, we took ownership today.
All right.
So yeah, we did, the streetlight transaction is completed. And we're just waiting for Affinity now to start scheduling all the replacements. So if your streetlight is out, be patient, we'll try to get those done first, as best we can, but I don't have a definite time frame. As soon as I do have one, I can post it and let everybody know, but the sooner the better, because we'll start saving a lot of money on electricity costs here.
Okay. Any other board business before we go into executive session? And we do not expect any kind of vote, correct? All right. Open for motion to go into executive session.
I move to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6A.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor? Motion passes 4-0 at 6:53 PM. Just a reminder, the school budget vote is tomorrow at 6 at the high
At the
school library.
At the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Thank you for all the department heads who came tonight, in case there was any questions on their budgets. Appreciate you being here. I'll sign that, Rick, I'll sign that and get that out to you tomorrow. That-